Hello everyone. So today let us look into uh, one more aspect about the DL system of nomenclature. So in the previous video I talked about how now currently the DL system is basically used to structurally correlate the various molecules, the monosaccharides or the amino acids with the corresponding glyceraldehyde molecule. Okay, so there is a structural correlation is what we are doing presently for the DL system of nomenclature. And as I told you repeatedly that now it is limited only for the carbohydrates as well as to the amino acids. Okay, so in the previous video we talked about the aldoses. So therefore in today's video I'll like to also talk about the ketoses. So the difference between the aldoses and ketoses is that aldose is the one that is having an aldehyde group, okay, and the ketoses are the one are the sugar molecules or the monosaccharides with the keto group. So, like in the case of aldoses, we have triose, tetrose, pentose, and hexose, depending upon the number of carbon atoms. So, if you compare the triose of the aldose, it was nothing but glyceraldehyde, but in this case, it is dihydroxyacetone. Okay, and dihydroxyacetone do not have a chiral center, and therefore we do not have any optical isomerism for the simplest ketone, that is dihydroxyacetone. Now, when we go to the tetroses, okay, we find that we have one chiral center present here. Okay. Now, here, as you can see, there are 4 carbon atoms, so that's why it's called a tetrose. And if you compare the tetrose of the ketos and aldose, in ketos you have only one chiral center. However, if you remember, the aldoses, that is erythrose and threose, they had 2 chiral centers present, and therefore when only one chiral center is present, as we discussed in the previous video, here we are going to see only 2 stereoisomers, okay, and one of them would be the capital D and one would be the capital L. So here again, the same way as we did for the aldose, we compare the highest chiral center, highest numbered chiral center, or the penultimate chiral center. So in both ways, this is the chiral center that we compare, and this looks pretty similar to the glyceraldehyde. And since OH is on the right side, therefore, the erythrulose, if you remember, there we talked about erythrose. So when it comes to ketos, we say erythrulose. So it is de-erythrulose. And here we do not have a triose variety because we do not have another chiral center. So it is called erythrulose. And the enantiomer, therefore, would be the L-erythrulose. Then coming to the next higher version, that is the pentose, again, one less chiral center than the aldose. We have 4 stereoisomers therefore possible, 2 D forms and 2 L forms, okay. And the 2 D forms, as you can see, again, the penultimate chiral center is what we look here. Both case, in this case as well as in this case, you see the OH is on the right side, and therefore the configuration, the D-Elgin configuration would be D-ribulose in this case, and this would be D-xylulose in this case. Okay, these name, if you notice, they are pretty much similar in name, in pronunciation and the name, except that instead of ribose in the aldose, here in ketos we have ribulose. Okay, that's the difference. And to my best understanding, in Indian university papers, you do not usually get questions where you have to remember these structures. Okay, but still, if you draw them yourself and just look into it, it's pretty simple to remember them also, except for the hexoses, because hexoses, the names are a little bit complicated. So when we talk about hexoses, again, we have one less chiral center, because if you remember the aldose, we had 4 chiral center present there. Here we have only 3. And the important ketose or the hexose that you have to remember is the fructose, okay? And the difference between Ketose, the fructose and the glucose is only at this place. If you remember the structure of the glucose, you have an H and OH present there. If you remember the ketose structure, it was H and OH here. Okay, and then OH and H here. Okay, so this was the structure of the glucose. So when it becomes fructose, and fructose we know is a ketose, this is replaced by a keto group here. Okay, that is the only difference between the glucose and the fructose. Okay, so that way you can easily correlate the structure of fructose, and therefore you should be able to remember the structure of fructose also, because many of the papers you might expect, you are expected to know the structure, because fructose is a very common monosaccharide that you will find in various higher saccharide versions. Okay, and these psychos and sorbos and tagatose, they are not so commonly known, and that's why you might not be able to remember also. It is fine, but the structure of fructose you should be remembering there. Okay, so this is how it is all, and in all these cases you can see that all this penultimate uh, chiral center is having OH on the right side. Okay, and therefore all of them represent the D configuration. That is D. This is also D. This is again D, and this is also D here. This is again D. So it is all D configuration you find here. Okay, so that's about the fructose. Now I would like to discuss with you some of the molecules which are not exactly the, what you say, as the carbohydrates, but we still in some of the textbooks, apart from the absolute configuration of RS and nomenclature, R and S nomenclature, you will also find the mention of DL. And why that is so is because these molecules, the molecules like lactic acid or tartaric acid, they have been quite extensively synthesized from the corresponding glyceraldehyde, and therefore their correlation is so vibrant that we still do stick with the capital N and capital D configuration in these molecules. Okay, so that's why in this video I'll also try to discuss that. So here, as you can see, I have written the wedge dash formula for the lactic acid. Okay, now we have to assign the, here I have written the S isomer. Okay, and you can clearly know why it is the S isomer, because if you number it, it would be 1 here. This is the first priority. Then you have the second priority here, and then you have the third priority here. So when you go from 1 to 2 to 3, it is anti-clockwise, and therefore this is a correct absolute configuration, that is S. So this is an S isomer is the dextrorotatory isomer, that is the lactic acid. Okay. So as I told you in the previous video, in order to assign the capital D and capital L configuration, it is mandatory that you should write this structure in the Fischer projection. Okay. So first step that you do if you are getting a wedge dash formula is to convert it into a Fischer projection formula. The simplest way you can do is you can consider along this bond that is on the plane of this particular board. Okay, so if you compare the axis along this, and that is what I have shown it with this dotted lines. Okay, and if you rotate this in a kind of this particular fashion, if I hold this CCH3 bond like this, and if I rotate like this, okay, it looks like a clockwise rotation. If I hold and I rotate it clockwise, okay. So you might be visualizing in the video in a wrong way, but you can understand when I say clockwise, when you do it on your own way on this particular page, it looks like a clockwise. So when you rotate it clockwise by 90 degree, you can understand that this particular bond will go on the back side, and that is what I did is I kept the CH3 here because this bond I have kept constant and rotated along it by 90 degrees. Obviously, this OH is going on the back side. So when I am rotating and moving this to the back side, what I'm seeing is this particular COH would be coming in this particular side of the molecule. And that is what on the left side, okay, this would be coming. Okay. Similarly, the H that was initially on the back side, when I am rotating clockwise, this will come to the front side and on the right side. Okay, this is front side. It will be still on the front side, but only thing is it will move to the left side of the molecule. So when you rotate it like this, you can get the COH here, and H that was back side will come on the right side. Okay. Once you reach this particular configuration, when you write this molecule in this particular configuration, you can directly write the Fischer projection from this. So rather than this arrow symbol, this is a wrong symbol. Let me remove this. This structure, you can directly convert it into the cross formula, which is your Fischer projection formula. So this is your Fischer formula. So this is your Fischer projection formula. Okay. So when you see the Fischer projection formula, you can check whether this is correct or not. Since you assign the priorities, let me assign the priorities again here. So on the Fischer projection formula, this is 1, this is 2, and this is third priority. So when you move from 1 to 2 to 3, it looks a clockwise. So it looks like a R configuration, but you know that since the lowest priority group, that is your hydrogen, okay, this hydrogen group that you see here, the lowest priority is on the horizontal bond. So if you remember your stereochemistry, whenever you assign the configuration and rotate it, and if your lowest priority group, that is a fourth group, is on the horizontal bond, then whatever configuration you are getting, the actual configuration is the opposite of it. So that's why right now, since we are getting a clockwise orientation, okay, and it seems to be R, but it is not R because our lowest priority group is on the horizontal bond, and therefore our configuration of this particular Fischer projection formula is S, as we started with. That is, here we started with an S. When we converted it into a Fischer projection formula, it's still S configuration. Okay, very well said. Now the next thing is to orient this Fischer projection with the carbon chain, okay, with the carbon chain on the vertical bond. Okay, so we have to bring the carbon chain on the vertical bond. That is what you might be remembering from the discussion that we did. Okay, so that is what we are going to do now. So now first we have to know which is the carbon chain. So this is the carbon chain. So let me show it with the laser. This is the carbon chain. Okay, and the OH is the substituent. So we have to bring this bond on the what you say on the vertical bond. So let me number it. This would be the first priority, then the not the first priority, then second number carbon, and this is the third number carbon. So this is the carbon chain. Okay, so if you remember that method of writing the Fischer projection, you know that the first priority should come on the top and the lowest priority should come on the bottom side of the vertical bond. So how to do that? So in order to do that, we have to perform a kind of exchange. Okay, we have to do a Fischer structure. We can do group exchange. So we have to do a group exchange. Okay, so suppose I start with this particular groups. Since I have to bring CH3 to the bottom, so I'll kind of exchange these two groups, that is CH3 and the OH group. Let me use a bigger line here, then you will probably better understand. So I'm going to exchange these two groups. Okay, so when I exchange them group, I'll get a structure which is this one. Okay, so I'm going to get a structure like this. This structure is what I'm going to get. Now, In a Fisher projection formula, whenever you do one exchange of the groups, okay, what you are going to get is a enantiomer. You're going to get a enantiomer, okay, that you can easily understand when you see the priority here. Now, if you try to arrange the priority, it is 1, then 2, and then it is 3. Okay, so if you arrange the priority now, it is 1, 2, 3. Okay, it looks to be anti-clockwise and should be S. But you know, since the lowest priority group, that is hydrogen, is having is on the horizontal bond, therefore the actual configuration of this would be R. Okay, the actual configuration of this was S, as we discussed previously. Now this is R. So whenever you do only one exchange of the group on a Fisher projection, you will always end up getting the other isomer. So to get back the original isomer, you have to do two exchanges. So one exchange you have done here. Okay, so one exchange you have already done here. Let me remove these things. So one exchange you have done here. Okay, one exchange has done and led to a R configuration here. So you will do another exchange. So now only thing is you have to bring COH here. So do this exchange. So if you do this exchange, what will happen? You will get this particular structure. You'll get this particular structure where COH here, OH here, rest of the things you haven't touched. Okay. So now you can again cross check whether it is correct or not. We are getting the original Fisher or not. So O here, this is first, this is second priority, and this is the third priority. So when you move from 1 to 2 to 3, it is looking like a clockwise. So it seems R, but since fourth group is on the horizontal bond, therefore this original configuration should be the S configuration. Okay, so now you have placed your carbon chain on the vertical bond and kept your first priority carbon on the top. Okay, so this structure now, this Fisher structure, you can compare with the glyceraldehyde. So let me write the corresponding glyceraldehyde. So if I write a corresponding glyceraldehyde structure, the glyceraldehyde structure is nothing but CHO. Then you have the CH2OH. Okay, and then you have an OH here and then H here. So when you have a Fisher projection formula that looks similar to this, we know that this particular configuration of glyceraldehyde is the L-glyceraldehyde, and therefore this lactic acid is L. Okay, so L plus lactic acid. So this is L plus lactic acid. L plus lactic acid. Okay, so I hope you understood, like it is always essential that we convert the wedge dash into the correct Fisher projection formula, and that too in this particular manner. So you should remember how to do these conversions. That is important. And you should always remember any Fisher projection formula, you can convert it into any kind of Fisher projection formula. Only thing you have to remember is this exchange that you have to do should be even number of exchange. So that means if you do an odd number of exchange, such as if you do only one exchange here, it would give you a opposite enantiomer. But if you do two exchanges, okay, two exchanges if you do, then definitely you are going to get your original Fisher projection formula. Okay, so this way you can convert any Fisher projection formula to your required Fisher projection formula, like the one you require here, where you want to place your carbon chain on the vertical bond and want to keep the higher priority carbon on the top. Okay, so that particular thing you can easily do to any Fisher projection formula using this exchange of groups. I'll do one more example regarding tartaric acid that would help you to understand this more better. If we go to the tartaric acid, let me bring this. So this is a structure here that you can see. This is a wedge dash structure that is given for the plus tartaric acid. Okay, I'm not going again here. So you can see easily that all this is a chiral center giving a R configuration here. This is another chiral center which is giving a R configuration here. I'll quickly write the priorities here. So first priority will come to here, second priority here, then the third priority will go to this particular carbon. Okay, so when you move from 1 to 2 to 3, it is a clockwise direction, and your high priority group, lowest priority group is on the back side. So this is R. Okay, similarly, you can see here, this is 1. Okay, and this is 2. So let me use a different structure here, 1, 2. So let me use this one as a square, 1, 2, and this is 3. Okay, 3 again on the square. So again, when you move from 1 to 2 to 3, it is a clockwise direction. So it is the correct R configuration. Okay, let me remove all these things. Otherwise, in the discussion, it will create a lot of confusion. Okay, fine. So now, since I already told you, if you want to give the D and L configuration, it is necessary to convert this wedge dash into the corresponding Fisher projection formula. So same thing we will do. We will take along this particular, we will rotate along this particular bond. Okay. We always, when we have a bond like this, we will rotate along this particular axis. Okay, to bring this OH on the back side. Okay. Similarly, when you talk about this chiral center, this is the bond that are on the plane. So you will rotate along this particular axis so that you can bring this bond on the back side. Okay. This is what we are actually doing. So if you rotate along this axis in a clockwise fashion, this OH will go on the back side. Okay. So when it goes along the backside, you can write OH here like this. Then COH, which was on the right side, will now come on the left side, but still it would be on the front side only. So COH will come here. Then H, which was on the back side, will come on the front side, but on the right side of the molecule. So that's why you have this particular configuration here. Okay. Similarly, when you look here, when we talk about this, you will rotate along this particular axis so that your OH can go on the back side. So when you rotate like this, okay, your OH will go on the back side. So that is why I draw it as a dotted line here. Then what happens? This COH, which was on the front side, is going to be on the right side. Okay, so that's why I draw COH here. And then your H that was on the behind will come on the front side and on the left side. So that is what I have drawn in here. Okay, so this thing you can easily convert. So again, it is not converted, it is equivalent to a Fisher projection formula. You can directly write the cross form of the Fisher projection here. So you can see you have converted into Fisher projection formula in this particular structure, and the configurations are correct. This is again R, because you can see here first priority will go to oxygen, second priority here, third priority here. So when you rotate it 1, 2, 3, it looks to be anti-clockwise, so it prefer to be a S configuration, but we know the lowest priority on the horizontal bond, therefore this configuration would be R. So that means our original was R. When we convert it into a Fisher projection formula, it's still an R. Similarly, here also first, 2 and 3, it looks to be anti-clockwise, so S, but your first priority group, last priority group is on the horizontal bond, therefore the configuration of this chiral center should be R configuration. Okay, so the Fisher projection is correctly predicted. Now, as you know, we have to place our carbon chain on the vertical bond. So carbon chain in this case is this one. This is the carbon chain, which I have numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4. Any way you number it, both side is carboxylic acid, it would be same thing. Okay, so we have to bring these carboxylic acid as shown here. So if you do one exchange here at this particular chiral center, and if you do another exchange at this chiral center, okay, there are two chiral center. So if at this chiral center you do this exchange, at this chiral center, if you do this exchange, you have brought these carbon chain on the vertical bond. So our problem is solved. But you should remember, if you do only one exchange of groups at the chiral center, you will always get the opposite isomer. So that means this isomer is having the chiral center as S. This is also having the chiral center as S. That is not what we need, because our original isomer is R and R, because that you can easily understand from here. So 1, 2, and 3. So it looks clockwise. But since our lowest priority on the horizontal bonds, or whatever configuration you are getting, it's the opposite, that is S. So that's why this both the configuration is S. Okay, so we have to do one more exchange in order to actually make this kind of complete. We have to do one more exchange. So we have to do one more exchange here. Okay, so that is why I performed another exchange across this horizontal bond, because we don't have to now change the vertical bonds, because we have to require them in this particular fashion itself. So we will better exchange only the horizontal group. So that is what I have done here. I have only exchanged the horizontal groups and I got this back. So now if you check the configuration 1, 2, and 3, it is clockwise. So it looks to be, it is anti-clockwise. Okay, this rotation is anti-clockwise. Okay, so since the lowest priority group, that is hydrogen, is on the horizontal bond, whatever configuration you are getting, that is in this case you are getting S. So that means it is R here, because our lowest priority group is on the horizontal bond, that is on the front side. Therefore, whatever configuration you are getting in the Fisher projection formula, it would be the opposite. So this is R, this is also R, which you can check for yourself now. So now when you compare the glyceraldehyde, if you check the penultimate chiral center, this is the penultimate chiral center in this molecule. Here the OH is on the left side, and therefore according to glyceraldehyde structural correlation, when the OH is on the left side, the configuration is L. Okay, and that's why your tartaric acid, that is dextrorotatory, that is the natural tartaric acid, is having a capital L configuration. So if you remember the first video that I did on DL configuration, there I talked about this L tartaric acid there. Okay, so I hope you understood how it is important to first convert any formula to the Fisher projection formula in a particular format. Only then you can decide whether that configuration is L or D. Now it's all limited to carbohydrates. These are the only molecules, some of the molecules where we still use this D and L kind of configuration in these stereoisomers. Okay. Finally, I would like to give you a brief idea about how it is used in amino acids. So if you look at the structure of the amino acid, you know, all of you know the pretty much easily, you know the kind of structure. You have a single chiral center, you have the amino group, you have the COH group, then you have a side chain. This is the basic structure of a amino acid. So when you write the amino acid, you place the carbon chain on the vertical bond. So if you look at the carbon chain, this is starting from here. These are the carbon, this is the side chain or the alkyl group. So this also is the carbon chain. Other you will treat as a substituent. So the carbon chain, again, as we did previously, will keep on the vertical bond, and you know COH group would be the first priority, so it would be in the top. So side chain would be at the bottom of the vertical bond. Okay, and then amino and hydrogen would be placed like you place the hydrogen and hydroxyl in the glyceraldehyde molecule. So when you have, you can remember like this instead of amino, it should be OH in the case of glyceraldehyde. So when amino group is on the right side, it would be called D amino acid. If the amino group is on the left side, it would be called, since here the amino acid on the left side, it would be called the L amino acid. So here I have given one example, pretty simple and easy to understand. This I have given the S-alanine, okay, which you can check for yourself now how to do it. So S-alanine I have given here, which is S configured in this particular Wettstein formula. So again, across this particular bond, so this particular bond I have rotated by 90 degrees. So it will move this amino group on the back side. So I've written it as a dotted line here. So when I rotate like this, moving this to the back side, this front group would come here on the left side, and CS3, which was on the back side, would come on the front side and on the right side. So that's how I have done in here. Okay. Now this you can directly convert to the Fischer projection formula. Okay. So you got this Fischer projection formula. Whenever you convert like this, you can check for yourself whether your compound is correct or not. So if I check the priority 1, 2, and 3, so it is clockwise. So it should be R. But since our lowest priority, that is the hydrogen, is on the horizontal bond, therefore whatever configuration you are getting should be opposite. So it is the S configuration. So it's correct Fischer projection formula. Now, according to this, the side group, this is alanine. So this side group should come here. So we will do one exchange here. So this will bring my carbon chain on the vertical bond. But if you remember, I have to do 2 exchange in order to get back the original configuration. So I'll do a horizontal exchange here. Okay. So I'll get this particular alanine. So if I compare it with the glyceraldehyde, this is having the NH3 on the left side. So this is L-alanine. So that means the alanine with an absolute configuration, that is S, would, according to the D and L configuration, would be a L-alanine. Okay. Now you would have a doubt that why we are using D. Okay, we can relate glyceraldehyde being used like in monosaccharides, why we use D and L, because it all started with the monosaccharides, but why we are using in amino acids. So what I can think of a reason is because these are natural compounds. Okay, so in natural compounds, since carbohydrates, it was on the basis of D and L configuration, we said that D form is the most abundant natural form of the monosaccharides that is there. So in that terms, to correlate, probably D and L we use in amino acids also, because in amino acid, the L form is the naturally abundant form. Okay, so probably that, I'm not exactly sure about that reason, but nowhere I found any particular reason why we use in amino acids still this D and L configuration. But these are relative configuration which are used, but it's not mandatory because we are now aware of the absolute configuration. So whenever you see recent papers and all the publications that you see here nowadays, they are all having absolute configuration. They no more use the DL system of nomenclature, because that is more absolute and clear for to communicate to others. Okay, so I hope with this discussion, this DL nomenclature is pretty clear to all of you. If you have any doubts, you can please comment and let me know anything you need to understand, and I can help you with that as well. Thank you very much for your attention.